How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to some more Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity coverage. So they released a blog post alongside the Elite Specializations video that I covered previously. There's a full video for that on the channel, as well as a breakdown for the Gale Shot. The other two, I don't really play those classes as much, so I most likely won't go as in-depth on them until I fully get my hands on it on the 20th, and then 20th to 27th I'm going to play every single elite spec and try and give you a hands-on showcase. But in regards to speculation on these specs, I feel like I'd be better off going for the ones I actually know about the main classes, which is why I covered Ranger first. So I'm going to also cover Ritualist, Paragon, probably the Thief one as well, and go a little more in depth on those when we get hands on with them. Now, it looks like it's going to be one light, one medium, one heavy. So then with the other reveals that come up, should probably be in the same structure, most likely. So with that being said, let's have a read through the blog post and see if there's anything else I can glean from this. And yeah, let's go. So last week we announced our 6th expansion, Guild Wars 2 Visions of Eternity. And with that comes the news that Elite specs are back. Over the next 3 weeks we'll be providing details on all 9 specs through trailers, blogs, and live streams. So this week we're focusing on Mesmer, Ranger, and Guardian. Tune in on July 25th. And you'll get a preview of the Elite specs. It's the 23rd right now. So you'll be able to play all these elite specs yourself during our beta event from the 20th to the 27th. That's what I was talking about before. That's where I'm going to go as in-depth as humanly possible and try and give some showcase of every single one. Now, I will say this Mesmer Bard spec, the crescendo effect they have with the end of it, where you have like the conductor with the whole orchestra thing, that's kind of cool. Big fan of that. Really cool thematics. The animations, like I said, it looks like they've really outdone themselves with the new animation work and whatnot. So, Troubadour, inspiring storytellers. Since the Firstborn emerged from beneath the boughs of the Pale Tree 36 years ago, many Sylvari have taken the lesson, where life goes, so too should you. To heart, to reversing Tyria, battling their inner dragons. Yeah, most artists battling inner demons. Yeah, that sounds about right. And finding their place in the time after. These far-flung travelers have seen and done much in a short time, and some, whether through whim or wild hunt, have taken to regaling Tyrians with tales of recent, famous, and infamous figures, such as whoever that is. Whoever that is, I feel like I know that name, although I don't entirely remember him. And then Scarlet Briar is from Living Story Season 1, I'm pretty sure. Now they've returned home from their time abroad to share their craft and strengthen the Tyrian alliance. Troubadours spin dramatic ballads and tales as their words weave magic and music to raise ally spirits and demoralize foes. Their recitals can even be accompanied by illusory instruments for additional effect. Now, apparently, they have access to group distortion, which, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Build up to a crescendo. Troubadours are mesmers who seek to support their allies in battle through the power of music and the fantastical tales of Tyrian heroics. Being more aura-focused, we're playing Sona, I guess. Troubadours opt to manifest their power by generating musical notes with their abilities, rather than visually deceptive clones. So they are replacing the F1 through F4, like I kind of figured. So each F1 through F4 is going to be a different instrument doing a different thing, rather than creating clones that you then shatter, right? So replacing the shatters and basically using it as Firebrand tomes without the kit, I guess, is the best way to put it, I suppose. Yeah, okay. These notes are used to extend the duration of their instrumental enchantments, allowing them to command a lasting presence in combat. Once their orchestra is in full swing, they use their keynote skill, which will be 5, I guess, crescendo, to swing the tide of battle with appropriate flair, which is probably the distortion, like the AoE group distortion. When playing as a troubadour, your shatter skills are replaced by instruments. Told you. When an instrument is played, it produces an initial magical effect. Performing with the reverberating lute will release waves of sonic energy, damaging enemies. Strumming the harmonious harp will create a healing area to provide, interesting word choice, to allies. After an instrument is used, it will continue playing in the background, providing bonuses to the players that can be further augmented through traits. Yeah, you're literally playing Sona. Okay, cool. Troubadours use their voices as well as their instruments. They can recite the tale of Queen Jenna protecting divinity's reach to grant their allies distortion. Yep, there it is. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a massive pain in the ass in every piece of content. Or they can invoke the story of Scarlet Briar, emulating her cruelty to debilitate enemies. They can become a whole band on their own through the Grandmaster trait, Call and Response, creating an after image of an instrument that repeats its effect. Alright, that's pretty sick. Definitely a cool thematic idea. Much easier of a support spec than like Chronomancer or any of the other sort of stuff. This is going to be interesting comboed with the rifle support weapon that they got in the Weapon Master stuff as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Definitely has a lot of support and healing options for Mesmer now. And I might bust out my Mesmer a little bit more because I did want to try I wanted to try like a power rifle Mesmer and mess around with that at some point. So maybe now I can make a support Mesmer spec with it as well. Okay, here's the one I really care about. The Gale Shot, Masters of the Wind. For over 100 years, the Tengu of the Dominion Wilds have kept their gates shut and their arrows trained on the outside world. After minions of Primordus and Jormag threatened to siege the Dominion's walls in the last Dragon Rise, some Tengu have emerged to more actively engage in Tyrian affairs, and as a rare honor, offer cultural exchanges at the behest of their royal houses. One such exchange is the honored tradition of the Gale Shot. These Tengu archers, skilled and oathbound to protect the royal houses, are able to summon the 4 cardinal winds to form a powerful cyclone bow and deliver swift justice to their foes. As contributing members of the Tyrian Alliance, the Tengu now offer tutelage in these skills to willing outsiders who express their interest in the Gale Shot craft. AKA whoever spends 30 hero points in a small window. Wielders of the Cyclone Bow. Gale Shots are rangers and the premier archers of Tyria. Say that to my longbow untamed. Using their aptitude for nature magic, they can sculpt and command the wind at will. This power is manifested in the Cyclone Bow, a weapon that's capable of long-range devastation. Devastation's a bold word if you tweak it too lightly. The Cyclone Bow increases in strength as it's used. Okay, so camping it might actually matter. It might be possible. Culminating in a powerful coup de grace to dispatch your enemies. That is Bow 5, which will be the one where you leap into the air. Learning from nature, Gale Shots emulate birds in the sky by employing squalls of air. They're swift and graceful to ensure advantageous positioning in battle. Like I said, I do find it very ironic the fact that since you have a kit bow, you will never have to use a bow. I get such a weird dynamic in Guild Wars 2, it really is. Battle with keen sight and unerring aim. Yeah, until you go into the air and you miss all your shots because your action camera gets thrown off. Gale Shots are able to call upon the Cyclone Bow at will. The Cyclone Bow generates arrows over time. These arrows are used as a resource to fuel its skills, just like a gun saber, such as Supersonic Arrow, a lightning-fast shot of wind that deals heavy damage to enemies it pierces. Yep, I had a feeling it would pierce. So, as you use arrow-consuming skills with the bow, you progress towards enabling its finale. Hawkeye. Okay, is that not a suit material? But okay, sure, bold. Hawkeye locks onto your target. Oh, okay. Locks onto your target and nearby enemies. Okay, so that's how it gets around missing the arrows. Then unleashes a hail of shredding arrows. So it's like, what the fuck is it? The Renegade Bombardment then. Where, like, they press the button and all the projectiles come out of the sky. And instead of it landing in one area, it'll lock onto everything like the Untamed Multi-Shot and just rapid-fire arrows out of the air. Okay, cool. These archers utilize squalls to control the flow of battle. They can call upon a freezing wind to chill their projectiles. That's going to be toxic in PvP because chill gives you attack speed slow or skill usage slow as well. So that's kind of annoying. Launch themselves with a whirlwind or even summon a raging tornado. That's probably the utility skills, is to launch themselves backwards, which is just the dodge roll with lightning reflexes. Tornado sounds kind of cool though. That might be just like a stationary thing. Maybe it moves around. I don't know. Gale shots can form a closer bond with their avian allies through traits like flock together, of course, enhancing bird pets and granting quickness to allies with beast skills. Don't you get quickness with beast skills from Soul Beast? Or is that not? Maybe that's not to allies, that's just to you, probably. So, I mean, okay, you want to use a bird pet, I guess. And then I assume they're going to also add a bird pet in the new expansion that's more fitted to it. I don't know, man. War claws were too cute. So, interesting. I feel like that's kind of shit, though. Wasting an entire trait line on using one pet is so tragic, isn't it? It could have been so much better, and instead you use one of 9 slots on an elite spec to buff one of the most probably underused pet options in the entire roster. That is tragic. That is tragic. Okay, well, whatever. So, thoughts. Yeah, I mean, it kind of functions how I figured. Like, it will really depend on if you open with 0 arrows or not. Because if you open with 0 arrows, then you have to camp it. But then if you have to camp it, you have to tune it well enough that camping it's worth it. Because if you don't, and it hits like a fucking wet noodle, there's no point in even using the damn bow. Because like I said, with the way Guild Wars 2 plays, you want to sit in the buff ball. Especially if you're doing raids or you're doing even fractals. You want to all sit in the same spot so that you get might buffs, and then you get the stacked AoEs over top of each other. So actually spreading out as a function is not particularly all that useful. But then spreading out and being off the boss is the only time pulling out this bow kit would actually be beneficial. But if you pull out the bow kit to 0 arrows and 0 like things to use, then you can't functionally use it for the only time it would actually be useful. Because then to camp the bow in melee range under the boss is counterintuitive, because you'd want to be able to use Maul, Hilt Bash Maul, Weapon Swap, Axe 5, right? So, sorry, I'm fucking allergic to bullshit. So, by proxy, the whole concept won't work. Like, with the way the game dynamically plays in group content, I you have to tune the bow itself so high that sitting in it and camping it is actually more functionally powerful than using both of your weapon sets full stop, unless you want it to be used functionally as a tool that you switch into when you're off the boss and or kiting a mechanic or dodging something or something like that. But then it makes it sound like the longer you're in it, the stronger it gets. Which means if you're open worlding, you just pull the bow out and use it constantly, right? Which, I mean, okay, maybe. Like, in open world, yeah, I could see it being useful if, like, camping it generates more arrows and what have you. But then that also doesn't function, because if you mount, you're not going to retain being in the kit. So if you mount, swap to the next like pack or run to the next area and then you dismount. I don't entirely know how it works, but I'm pretty sure if you go into gun saber and then you mount and then you land, you don't immediately pull the fucking gun saber back out. And then if that's the case, it'll reset your arrows every time you remount. So do you want to walk the open world just to use your cyclone bow at full effect? Like, the functionality of what they've crafted, like the concept is cool. Don't get me wrong, it looks cool. It looks like it does really cool spells and effects. But the functionality of what they've made, I think, is not going to function within the means of how Guild Wars 2 is played. And that's a big design hurdle across the board, is they've built something that doesn't fit the game it's in. And we will entirely have to see how it plays on the day of the 20th to the 27th. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Honestly, I hope I'm fucking massively wrong. But if I take this into a fractal set and the damage is piss ass poor, and then when I switch into it, I don't have enough arrows to functionally do anything in between my downtime, and then camping it doesn't do as much damage as Maul, Hilt Bash, Maul, Axe 5, like, it just, I don't see a use for it. if those are the cases, like, because then even in open world, like I said, why not just use longbow untamed at that point? Why not just use the longbow? Like, why not just use the longbow itself? I mean, you could go short bow, longbow, longer bow, but like even then, like what's the point? What is the point to this thing? Because it doesn't have a use case. Unless it's overtuned, at which point you're like single shot is gonna have to one tap somebody in PvP. You're gonna have to scale it separately. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love it to be insanely overtuned. That'd be a lot of fun, sure. But that's about the only way you could make this thing worth camping, is if it hits like a freight train. Now, don't get me wrong, the way you could also tune it is that it scales upwards. Like, the longer you're in it, it does say it increases in strength as it's used, sure. But, like, it would have to go from, like, lukewarm to busted OP. And then at that point, like, then you hit the same problem of like by the time you get to busted OP in the open world, you remount and it fucking puts the bow away. like the systems do not function in a way that leverages this elite spec or kit or weapon and tool to its advantages. And then like I said, this is such a waste of potential. This is such a waste of potential. Wasting one of 9 traits on bird pets? Bruh. Just bruh. Okay, sorry, I should probably read the second half. Yeah, Guardian gets Hollow Forge and video. Okay, I'll read through this quickly, and then we'll end this off. Sorry, I'm passionate about my favorite class being fucking memed on. Okay, anyway. Luminary, Protector of the Secret Flame. Yeah, this is basically Hollow Forge. In the years following the Char Civil War, also, there's a fucking massive joke here that the Char weaponize faux fire and then give it to humanity when Char destroyed humanity in Guild Wars 1 and Prophecies. Like, faux fire is the weapon they used to wipe out humanity, so now they're giving it back to them like, hey guys, we're not entirely evil. Here's the thing we used to fucking massacre you. Go kill the big demons with it, please, thanks. Yeah, okay, there's... Sure. In the years following the Char Civil War and the scattering of Banger's dominion, it wasn't enough of a banger, I guess. Relations between the 4 legions have remained steady, bolstered by the events after the end of Dragon's cycle. With the Flame Legion formally rejoining the legions and the Iron Legion having appointed Smoder's successor, the 2 legions sought to commemorate the changing times with a joint project. Thus, the Luminary was born. In a shrewd diplomatic play, the 2 legions have since agreed to share their combined efforts with the Tyrian Alliance, as its member races in spirit of continued collaboration in this new era. Luminaries bear an enchanted iron brazier that sustains a powerful sacred flame. The bearers can wreathe themselves with this fire and wield a blazing arsenal of weapons against their foes while striking powerful stances mid-fray. Make sure you get a good picture of the powerful stance and post it on Instagram. Alright, harnessing the Radiant Shroud, which isn't a shroud, apparently. So, it's called the Radiant Shroud, but it's not a shroud, but it's basically, I'm assuming, a weapon kit where F1, F2, F3 switches into, like, firebrand weapon kits. And, okay, let's read. Luminaries are guardians, stalwart combatants on the battlefield, capable of putting out respectable damage or supporting their allies. Their brazier provides energy for the Radiant Shroud, in which they're able to wield various weapons of light and flame to adapt to the situation at hand. Luminaries also have access to stance utility skills. Okay, kind of bland. You press a button, something happens. We were up in arms about that over Harbinger, but sure. Which is ironic. They did the same shit. They did press a button, do nothing on Shroud class. Do we not learn? Like, everyone's bitching about the distortion to AoE, and then we have Shroud, press button, do nothing. Do we don't read our own history, I guess. Okay, bet, say less. Where the fuck was I? Sorry. Stance skills. I lost my spot. Shit. Let's just start from the stance skills. There we go. Getting additional tools for offense, defense, crowd control, mobility. You press Endure Pain, you press Frenzy, you press Save Yourselves. Wait, no, that's not a stance. You press, fuck. Berserker Stance, and then Earth Shatter over and over. And you're a Guardian, so you're Anet's love child. Sorry, you reroll Willbender. Radiant Shroud is a new take on the Shroud mechanic. This mechanic has no limiting resource because you're Guardian, so why would we give you a limiting resource? We love you too much, big boy. Mwah. Allowing players to always enter the Shroud, allowing players to always enter when the Shroud is not on cooldown. Of course, you're Anet's love child. Why would you get a cooldown? Well, in Radiant Shroud, your weapon skills are replaced with 5 new skills. Okay, nope, never mind. It's literally just Hollow Forge. A basic attack in the first slot, and 4 Radiant weapon skills in the 2nd through 5th slots. Never mind, I was wrong. You literally press T to go into Hollow Forge, and then you use Hollow Forge abilities that summon multiple different weapons. Okay. We have Sona. We have Sona, Bladesworn, and a Hollow Forge. Brother. My brother in Balthazar. Okay. And that's a little bit of a letdown. Not finna lie. My version was a lot cooler. So it's not 3 weapon kits. It's press T. Damn. Okay. We out here, I guess. Illuminating weaponry. That's fucking deluminating, my guy. Okay, using a radiant weapon skill will equip that weapon while performing its initial attack. Your Bologna. That's what it is. Your Bologna from Smite. And then flip over into the weapon's additional skill. The Luminary's Grandmaster Minor trait, Radiant Armaments, grants a unique passive bonus based on the equipped weapon. Your Bologna. Yeah. Okay. Which lingers for a bit after exiting Shroud. Luminaries looking to maximize their outgoing damage may want to use the hammer right before exiting to take advantage of its bonus damage passive. While those who need to support allies might prefer to end on staff to gain access to its increased outgoing healing. Players are free to use all 4 weapons while in Shroud. But there's a trade-off. The recharge time of Radiant Shroud will increase for each weapon used beyond the first. Okay. That makes it kind of a tactical choice. Cool. So, yeah. Do you want Holosmith 2? Yeah, I mean, I guess Holosmith 2 fits with the lore, unironically, of, like, you know, the Legion, like, the Iron Legion made Holosmith and whatnot, so, Faux Fire, Holosmith, that's, okay, yeah, it fits the lore, I guess, but it is Holosmith 2. Literally, Holosmith 2 with press button, do nothing, on a Shroud class that also had press button, do nothing, and people rioted. This is gonna be fun. What's next? Tune in for the live stream. Okay, well, and then week 1 is those elite specs. Week 2, elite specs 4 to 6, 7:30. Deep dive video feature at first look. So 7:30. So on the 30th, we're gonna get the next set, and then 8/6 will be the next set. So 30 and 6. All right. I guess I will see you then. Not gonna lie, Sona looks cool. I feel like this doesn't fit the game it's in, which is really unfortunate. I hope I'm wrong. And I mean, that's probably the most underwhelming Guardian spec. I'm not gonna lie. Willbender was cooler. Willbender genuinely was cooler. Because yeah, that's just Hollow Forge. That's just Hollow Forge, but Guardian. And then, yeah, this, like, yeah, it doesn't fit the game it's in. Every single mechanic that could make this better makes it worse. And it hurts my soul. I'm looking forward to Paragon. I really am looking forward to Paragon. This looks dope, though. Until you give everyone mass distortion and we bypass raid mechanics. But, you know, imagine learning. Alright, feel free to ream me out in the comment section for saying bad things about your favorite game, which is also one of my favorite games. Like I said, everything I say is entirely out of love, because I want this game to be as good as possible, and then they go and make this shit.